Sometimes something comes along that looks quite familiar. Not exactly a copy, but it has strong familiarity. And I feel like I've seen something like this somewhere before. This is the brand new Roxo One, a new extended range EV by Rox Motors, and it's got some unique outdoorsy features.
Welcome to Wheels Boy, where we cover the newest, coolest, and wildest vehicles from the Chinese car market. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell.
Does a Roxo One rock your boat? If you want to export this or any other Chinese car, then send us an email to sales@wheelsboy.cn and we'll connect you with a reliable exporter of Chinese cars. Before you jump in the comments whinging that this is just a Chinese copy of the Defender 130, there's a little bit of information that you should know. You see, the Chinese didn't design this. No, this was designed by the world famous design studio Pininfarina. So the Italians copied the 130. Blame the Italians. Up front, you have a huge grille to exude power, and couple that with the plastic cladding that looks like it's been nicked from one of those absurd American pickup trucks, and you've got a front end that's full of testosterone in your face.
Jutting down and reaching round, the automatic headlights and LED daylight running lights offer enough personality to round off the front end styling. The Roxo One looks fantastic in this two-tone black and khaki green, and those huge wing mirrors offer proper visibility as well.
But I'll be blunt, there's a lot of Defender 130 down the side here. I love how boxy it is, the straight as an arrow belt line, the dark and flush pillars, and hardly any chrome in sight. Oof. And also there's integrated roof rails up top in case you want to mount a roof-mounted tent.
You get a choice of two wheel packages at no extra cost, either 21-inch rims with 275/45 all-season tyres, or for more off-roading now, you can opt for 20-inch rims with 265/50 all-terrain tyres. You will reduce the claimed EV-only range though by 35 kilometres.
Remember when I mentioned the outdoorsiness of this SUV, and I know SUVs are meant to be machines capable of taking on the great outdoors, but we know in recent years that hasn't always been the case.
The Roxo One is taking the lifestyle and camping, so popular in smart new energy vehicles, to the next level. Sure, you can lie down all the seats and make a bed with an air mattress.
Ugh, boring. But with the Roxo One, you can install a camp kitchen behind this humongous tailgate. Pull out your worktop surface and you can put a gas stove on there or an electric hob and use the 2.2 kilowatt V2L. There's also somewhere to hang your trash because people who throw trash in the countryside are trash. There's a water dispenser here as well that holds up to 2.5 litres and can heat water in 3 seconds. There's also a light here that you can remove. Pop that up and pop down the second flat surface for your tailgate table and throw a keg in the back of this 545 litre trunk and you get yourself a rager that frat boys will salivate over. You can lay down the third row, but there's no official numbers, just they say there's a depth of 1.2 meters. But if you fold down that third row and then fold down the second row, you'll get a depth of 2 meters. And obviously, if you want, you can just fold down one seat if you want to carry something long. Let's cut to the chase. It's very Li Auto-esque in here, but that's not a bad thing. Li Auto has dominated the EREV space in China, so it's good company to be in. Up front, there's a 12.3-inch instrument panel, a 15.7-inch 3K touchscreen, and a 15.6-inch HD entertainment screen in the rear. However, I kind of feel like they should be switched around. I'd rather have the higher resolution screen in the back for optimal movie viewing. Anyway, this is all powered by a Snapdragon 8155 CPU. There's also dual 15-watt wireless charging. Now, not that good for those supercharging Androids, but for an iPhone, it's more than enough. The correct phone for the Roxo One, because as standard, it comes with Apple CarPlay, which means if you want to export this car, you could use Apple CarPlay navigation. And Rox Motors also told us that an English UI is on the way. So send an email to sales@wheelsboy.cn if you think you might want this brilliant SUV.
There's 3-zone AC, 2 zones for the front and 1 for the rear, 14-speaker surround sound system, a digital 9-inch rear view mirror and a gear selector I've definitely seen somewhere before.
The driver gets 14-way electronic adjustment and the front passenger gets 10. There's heat, ventilation and massage as standard, and the Roxo One does have a voice assistant called Rock. Ni hao, shi tou. It's a basic affair, Chinese only. Overall, the Nappa draped functional interior of the Roxo One speaks to that duality, this premium off-road adventuring. Beyond the on-road modes of standard, comfort, sport and launch, it also has several off-road modes like mud, sand, wading and rock.
It also comes standard with a 360-degree panoramic camera with transparent chassis mode to help navigate obstacles as you drive over them.
The Roxo One can be had in a 7 or 6 seat configuration. This is the 7-seat configuration. Exactly. The extra seat is in the 3rd row, but more on that later. Back to these second seats, they're basically the same as the front seats, but with this extra armrest. They have heat as standard and the same massage as the front seats, but these ones only have 8-way adjustment as opposed to 14 and 10 for the driver and front passenger respectively. If you want more premium seating, then you'll have to opt for the more expensive 6-seat version, in which case you'll get what Rox Motors calls its airline seating.
They're more spacious and luxurious captain seats. They come with 10-way electronic adjustment, heat, ventilation, upgraded 8-point spa massage function, a single press lay flat mode, and all the controls are nicely hidden in the armrest.
Those seats are much wider, so you lose this central access here to the 3rd row. Instead, you'll have to push a button to move that 2nd row out of the way to gain access to the rear. Both the 6 and 7-seat configurations get this rear entertainment screen, and although not the highest resolution, it's still decent for movie viewing back here.
But without Dolby Atmos spatial audio, it falls behind some of its competitors like the Xpeng X9, the Ito M9 and Li Auto products.
Other things back here include your controls for the 3rd zone of the AC. There's a USB-A socket back here, a USB-C, and also a 12-volt socket here as well for all those car gadgets that you still have from the 2010s. You can use that USB socket in order to cast to the rear screen, but you can also do that wirelessly. Another thing that I do appreciate because of my little legs is the grab handles to aid getting in and out. There's also some in the front. Oh, and these seats also have the cup holder here. Wabang. At 170 centimeters, I'm barely adult height, more of an oversized toddler, and the 3rd row back here is very tight. There is a cup holder, a USB-A socket for charging, there's air outlets and a reading light. There's not much leg room, and headroom is all right. Now, the seats are quite bolt upright and there's not as much padding as the other rows. You can manually recline them for a bit more space, but legroom and is still a bit of an issue. Probably best left for kids back here. Now, if you opt for the 6-seat configuration, you lose this middle seat. So at least they're a little bit wider, but still for long journeys, probably not that comfortable for anybody of reasonable adult height. The Roxo One has a 56.01 kilowatt hour battery pack from Cattel and an EV only range of 235 kilometers, and you can charge it from 0 to 80% in just under half an hour. Now, obviously this is an extended range EV, which means it's got a petrol motor up front or an electrical generator, and it's suspiciously familiar. It's a 1.5 turbo 4-cylinder engine with 154 horsepower, and it's actually from the same supplier that Li Auto uses. Now, the Roxo One supposedly has a combined range of 1,115 kilometers. So the Roxo One is extended range EV, meaning it's got that 1.5 turbo engine up front, but it never drives the wheels directly. It just provides electricity, and the wheels are driven by the dual motors. Those dual motors put out 350 kilowatts and 740 Newton meters, 150 kilowatts in the front and 200 kilowatts in the rear. That's good for a 0 to 100 sprint time of 5.5 seconds, which is more than enough in a vehicle of this size. Top speed, 190 kilometers per hour. It's just under 120 miles an hour. Enough for motorway speeds, but this is no Autobahn cruiser. The drive is as to be expected in a large SUV like this, and by that I mean that body control is, well, not one of its fortes. It is, however, comfortable though, with the CDC doing its job, rounding off the most egregious road imperfections. There is no air suspension in the Roxo 1, and in terms of suspension, we're talking double wishbone up front with a H-arm multi-link in the rear. Again, this setup is more for comfort than handling, which you'd expect in an SUV like this. Now, we've been running in hybrid mode, which means the engine and the battery are working together to produce electricity for the motors. And I have to tell you that the engine is very quiet. MVH is well controlled. You only really hear it when you really step on the accelerator, and even still, it's a very distant rumbling.
So how much will this premium outdoorsy kitchen camping SUV cost you? Here in China, the 7-seater Roxo 1 is $48,500, while the 6-seater will set you back $50,000. The only real difference is those better second row seats. Oh, and $1,500.
One important optional extra on the Roxo 1 is the advanced driving package. That's going to get the car ready for future advanced ADAS features. It's going to add dual Orin X chips as well as 3 lidar units, 2 on the fenders and 1 roof-mounted lidar.
Rox Motor claims the 2 fender-mounted lidars are pure solid-state, meaning this is the world's first production car with solid-state lidar.
It's a fair chunk of change at just over $4,000, but Rox promises in the future advanced city NOA. When? Your guess is as good as mine. As standard, the Roxo 1 has a level 2 ADAS system, basically lane keep assist with on-demand automatic lane change. Basically, you flip the indicator and then the car will do the rest. It's vision-based and it uses dual Texas Instruments TD4 chips. Yep, that Texas Instruments, the makers of those seriously complicated graphical calculators that were the bane of life for high school students the world over.
With all of this outdoors adventure posturing, you're probably wondering if the Roxo 1 has any real off-roading chops, or is it just a mall crawler playing dress up? We weren't able to take it off-road, but Rox Motors have demonstrated its off-road ability on several occasions. The Roxo 1 is blessed with respectable approach, departure and breakover angles, and even if it isn't rivaling the Defender 130, it's still enough for a 45-degree climb, so you'll be fine transversing your local multi-story car park.
So the Roxo 1 might be the SUV for you if you like the outdoors more than the average person, but you don't need full-on locking differentials. Kind of like me. I like a hike, but if it's raining, count me out.